This video couldn't happen without those you supporting me on Patreon, including the big patrons of this month, the Nerd Therapist and Xavis. Hello, Pokemon Masters, Birdkeeper Toby here for the third time this morning. My mic didn't save the audio file correctly the first time round, and the second time round I was explaining that very fact before the microphone just died. So, microphone, you're on thin ice. That said, it's all okay, because I am very excited about this topic. As you can clearly see by everything going on with my face, it is early morning for me. I had to get up at 5 AM because I wanted to check out what was going on, because there was this big Pokemon leak dump reveal thing going on this morning. And then I woke up a few hours later to see the end of the stream where everything was happening. There have been a lot of Pokemon revealed, and not Gen 8 Pokemon, although possibly Gen 8 Pokemon. And the reason I say that is because last time this happened, there were future Pokemon within the pool of Pokemon that I'll get to that. Essentially, I was following the Team Space World Twitter account, and for those of you who don't know what Space World is, don't remember what that was. Space World was a big Nintendo showcase event. They were showing off loads of Pokemon, loads of games, including Pokemon Gold and Silver. And in that demo version, there was loads of Pokemon that are not in the current games, and so they're presumably scrapped beta Pokemon. These were all revealed to the internet, I think, last year? And I was following that Twitter account, and then they said, hey, make sure you're checking out the Pokeathon Twitch channel. I headed over to Twitch. There, Pokeathon, which is a group of speedrunners who raise money for charity by speedrunning Pokemon games. In particular, the user today was Abra, who is, I guess, quite prolific with that stuff. I'm sorry if I'm saying anything wrong here. I don't know Abra that well or Pokeathon, but it seems like a really great stuff. And actually, in terms of the cause, they were raising money for disaster relief and like people who have been torn up by war-torn countries and that kind of thing. People whose lives have been uprooted. They were raising money for that. And because this video wouldn't exist without them, all ad revenue for this for month one, which is when all the ad revenue comes in for it, I will be putting towards that cause as well, because thank you to them. Otherwise, without them, this video wouldn't exist. And also, it's just a way of helping out. I'll also leave a link below to disaster relief if you want to donate. Anyway, Abra was playing through this version of Pokemon Green that was, as they said, what Space World was to Pokemon Gold and Silver, i.e., this is the game, this is the beta version of the game with lots of undiscovered Pokemon. And they were showing off all sorts of cool mon. Do you remember last year there was an interview where I think it was Junichi Masuda said that there was an evolution to Raichu? It's called Gorochu. This is it. This is the actual Gorochu. This is the evolution to Raichu that was supposed to be in the games. We know this is legit because just like the Space World demo, they shared a couple of scrapped Pokemon like the baby Ponyta or baby Vulpix. There was another dragon type Pokemon. There was a Pokemon that looks much like the Substitute Doll. There's a Pokemon that looks like an early version of Tyranitar, and we know that Tyranitar was developed before Generation 2 actually happened because it also appeared on the cover of a magazine. There are so many cool Pokemon here, and I'll leave a link below where you can see all of them. I mean, this is just a really quick overview of a whole bunch of them. And the big question of the day is, and this is so well timed because I think Generation 8 is about to be announced, I'll explain that in a bit. Could we see any of these Pokemon in Generation 8? You might think that's a reach, it's definitely not. In the Space World demo, which is the next version of this along, we get Pokemon that look like early beta versions of Primarina and Poplio, a water starter line that then eventually got reused last generation. So they're still going back and taking bits out and reusing from these older designs. And actually, given that they've been talking about things like Gorochu and any of these, there was, I think, a booklet that had loads of pre-designed Pokemon that were, again, beta Pokemon that were scrapped. There was a little manga or magazine that came out. And again, actually, some of those, including the Shark Pokemon and the Cactus Pokemon, appear in this game. Again, just another point to its legitimacy. There's every chance that given they've been talking about these kind of Pokemon more and more recently, as well as the Space World leaks and these leaks, it seems very possible that any number of these Pokemon could show up. Probably not Gorochu, unless it appears as like a Mega Evolution or something, because we already have Pichu now, so we have that 3-stage line. But it could be possible. It could be possible that we see some of these Pokemon in Gen 8, and if so, there is one that I would love to see. And that is the main Pokemon that I wanted to make this video for. The evolution to Marowak that looks just like Kangaskhan. Kangaskhan is in these games, but this Pokemon, this Gardena, I think it's called, this Pokemon is an evolution to Marowak, and as you can see, it's a Kangaskhan. The baby is wearing a Cubone skull, and it is wearing a Cubone skull. It explains everything. It explains everything to do with the history of this theory. So a little recap. Back in Pokemon Red, Blue, and Green, the sprites were obviously a lot less clear than they are nowadays, and you could think it would be easy to assume that a Cubone without its skull might look like a baby Kangaskhan. That theory kind of got a little bit debunked as time went on. There was a theory that maybe a Marowak and a Charmeleon are very, very similar, and the skull of a Marowak looks like a Charizard's head, and that maybe a baby Cubone that doesn't have its tail ignited is no longer Charmander, it becomes Cubone, and that actually Charizard is Cubone's mother. That was backed up by the Alola Marowak that is part Fire type. And then also we saw Mega Kangaskhan, and the baby Kangaskhan that jumps out of its pouch is very much not a Cubone. But then also in Sun and Moon there was SOS chaining, where Cubone could call upon Kangaskhan for help, and actually in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, sometimes Kangaskhan will spawn in the area where Cubone are. So the theory has been super up and down and super juggled around, and actually I did know about this image of the Marowak. I can't say how or why, secrets, but I knew about this image that existed and I couldn't say anything. I was sworn to secrecy. It's because my mum works for Game Freak, obviously. Anyway, so I knew it was kind of leaning more towards the Cubone Marowak Kangaskhan side, but this Pokemon proves it. It was clearly their intention that Cubone and Kangaskhan are related Pokemon, and I think that's just awesome to see it finally confirmed with a solid bit of Pokemon history and lore. And wouldn't it be cool to see this Pokemon as an evolution to Marowak in Generation 8, tying it all together? And that Gen 8 announcement, I am certain, is just around the corner. The 27th is Pokemon Day. For a week after that, in the New York store, Nintendo store, they're doing Nintendo Treehouse Q&As all about Pokemon. What would you be Q&Aing about Pokemon, if not about a new game that's just about to be announced? When last gen got announced on the 27th, it was the 26th here, 27th in Japan, on midnight, the trademarks of Sun and Moon went live. Then later that day, we got a trailer, so I'm fully expecting 26th, 27th, we're going to hear some brand new news. There's also no way that they won't announce the games before the Detective Pikachu movie is out, because obviously they're going to want to use that worldwide cinematic successful film to push their new video game. 150% or 151%, as is the number of Pokemon in Generation 1. Or actually, no, I think it's 174 in this because there's so many more Pokemon. Though it is technically impossible to give more than 100%. Anyway, besides the point, we're sidetracking here. It is, in my mind, pretty much a guarantee that next week there might be more bonus videos like this. This week there is still going to be the regular 2 videos. This is just extra. Full credits, of course, to Abra and Pokeathon and the Space World Twitter. Please go and check those links out. Go and check out the whole roster of Numon. There's some really cool Pokemon in there. I'm hoping to see some of them actually created. And of course, if you want, please feel free to go and support the disaster relief. And with that, I look forward to seeing you later this week, after I've got up, had a shower, and hopefully with a working microphone. So hi, Pokemon Masters.
This is Ash Ketchum. You just watched a video by Birdkeeper Toby. That makes you a Pokemon Master.